actually knew before I was officially told that I had cancer. But it was amazing to me that when I heard the words, "You have cancer," it was a totally different feeling. I was just, I mean, it just washed over me. I was devastated. And I went home and cried. Cancer is a scary word. And I think it's a scary word for anyone, no matter what kind of cancer they have. Cancer is just a scary word. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what would end up happening, but I think by then I had resigned myself that we're going to fight this thing and we're going to make it work, and so whatever had to happen had to happen. To me, it wasn't that bad. It was something that was necessary. And so after the surgeries, I was just glad that they had taken what they could take, and hoping that they had taken all of it. Well, I went through some rough patches with chemotherapy. I had stomach problems. I just couldn't eat. I didn't feel good. Halfway through, you know, I thought you get used to it, and I did get used to it, so some of the things weren't so bad. But it just seemed like every time the reaction took longer to get over. Radiation was hard for me because radiation didn't make me sick. I got burned a little bit, but they tell me that my situation wasn't as bad as many. So I used aloe vera and got along. Radiation made me depressed, and I don't know why. But they told me when I started radiation that was a side effect of radiation. And I was so glad they told me that, because when I would feel depressed, I knew what brought it on. I was glad. That was a wonderful thing to be done with. I wouldn't want to do it again. I would if I had to, but I wouldn't want to. It was just a victory, actually, to have gotten through it and go on to the next stage. You know, I think some of the highs came because of the lows. When I was so sick at Thanksgiving, and I didn't want to eat, and Emily and I were the only ones home, and Emily was going to make macaroni and cheese, and her friend called and said, "Could I come over?" And she brought us dinner. And, you know, I actually ate it. I didn't think I could, but I ate it. And it was just such a special time. And then there was a time that my husband had open heart surgery the day after I had chemotherapy. And the doctor didn't want me to go to the hospital because chemotherapy makes you, your immune system is really low. And he didn't want me to go to the hospital. But I went to the hospital for the surgery and saw him after he got out of the surgery. And then I went home, went to bed. And then that weekend, kids started coming home from college. And so I had, my kids were watching, going and visiting Dad, and I couldn't. I just didn't dare. The doctor didn't want me to. A week after chemo is what they usually call the nadir, the lowest point in your sickness. And I went to see the doctor. And they always took a blood test to see where you were. That was the only time when I was doing chemotherapy that my blood test showed my red blood count, or my red blood count high enough. My white blood count, my white blood count high enough that I could, that I wasn't suspect to being, catching everything. And the doctor said, go home, go to visit your husband. And, that was really a high point. Because it was the only time in chemo that ever happened, that my white blood count was high enough that I was allowed to be out of my house, essentially. And then there was a time that my stomach hurt so bad. It just hurt so bad. And the next time when I went to the doctor, he said, oh, you should have called. We can give you this medication to help your stomach. But I just laid in bed and cried. It hurt so bad. And then the high was when Emily came in and told me a silly story, which neither of us can remember. But it just made me laugh, and I felt so much better. Getting a prosthesis was a high point. Because the doctor wanted me to have reconstruction surgery, and I said, no, I don't want any more surgery. I'm done with surgery. The 2 surgeries I had made me so sick, I just didn't want to do surgery again. But it was nice to know that I could have a prosthesis, and that it was easier than I thought to have a prosthesis, and that I could look good again in t-shirts. It was exciting when my eyebrows came back in. I didn't notice that my eyebrows were leaving. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me when my hair fell out, because I knew it was going to happen, and it didn't bother me. And I didn't notice when my eyebrows fell out. But I noticed when my eyebrows came in, and that was kind of a high point. That was exciting. And I remember Emily laughing at me when I came out and said, Emily, I have eyebrows! So that was a high point. That was fun. One time all my sisters came to a chemotherapy session. They all met me at this chemotherapy, and we played cards during chemotherapy. And that was fun. That was a good support. My younger sister, brought me books. Books that I probably would never have taken time to read, because they were these big, thick things. And it was a series about the Revolutionary War. And she brought me the books, and I read them. And that was fun, because I had something to do when I was laying on the couch feeling sick. Chemo brain has kind of become a joke, because it's always my excuse. See, I can't remember because I have chemo brain, and sometimes I'm sure it's just because I'm getting old and I can't remember. But it's always nice to be able to have something to blame it on. I feel that I have conquered. I'm warned that the cancer can come back, and it does for some people. but I feel like I've conquered. I feel like I've done everything the doctors told me to do. I'm very careful taking my medications. I probably ought to do more exercising, but I feel like I have conquered something. I got one more year, and then I'm going to be set free totally, and then maybe that's when that nobody's worried about me anymore feeling is going to come. But I'm looking forward to one more year to say, okay, they say if you get through 5 years, you're much less likely to have it returned. And that will be a wonderful day. I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt, I'm a teacher, I'm not a very good cook, but I'm a housekeeper, I'm a wife, I'm a office manager, and I'm a cancer survivor. Because cancer isn't my identity. Cancer is just one of those things that happened to me.